You're listening to Sips of Sanity, your toolkit for emotional and intuitive intelligence, or what we like to call the dirty work. Let's do it.
Hi, patrons. Hello, Kelly.
Hi.
Okay, so we are doing fear. It's the month of June. We are on Tuesday. It's day 2. And today's show is going to be about fight, flight, freeze, and fawn.
Did you freeze on purpose?
No, but that was actually really good. I wish I could take credit for that. And these are the responses that can be really, you said it in the first show, autonomic. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Where it just happens.
Yeah.
And we can go right back to our childhood to think of, oh God, this is where this came from, unless we've worked on it. And we know what our response is because we don't all do the very same thing.
Okay, so you're bringing up a really good point right off the hop, and I want to talk about this because these 4 responses are automatic, right? They are something that your most basic reptilian part of the brain is triggering, right? So it's going to be a default mode. So when you say we can go back into childhood to figure out which one we typically do, because it can be different for different situations, mm-hmm. right? But we can have one that is more of the default, let's say. Then we can start to see, that makes sense that I responded that way because given the environment, my brain assessed real quick that was the best way to survive that situation. And even though they are automatic, okay, we can train our brain to do something differently with repetition, which is practice.
Right. When you say that, Kelly, it brings me back into what I tried to do when I learned about these in figuring out, well, why did I respond the way I did? So I know as an adult that I fawn, that my response is to go straight into what fawning is. So let's talk about fawning for a sec.
Okay.
So fawning is when you go into people-pleasing the other person who's creating fear in you, or you perceive fear in, or they actually are creating a fear in you because it can be perception or reality, right? Mm-hmm. So I know as an adult, my response would be to fawn and to try and people-please that person because I wanted to get back to a place of safety.
Okay, so let's talk about how that happens. Because, as you guys know as patrons, we have been really trying to train or help condition the healthy beliefs instead of the false beliefs of the people pleaser, right? But fawning, along with the rest of the reactions, is a brilliant intuitive survival mechanism. So we're not mm-hmm. talking about fawning in a way that says, oh, you're so silly and stupid. Yes. Fawning is like, how can I best survive this situation? And by looking sweet and cute and maybe helpless and in any kind of way triggering or eliciting a feeling in the other person of, oh, I want to take care of this person. I want to help this person. That gets your survival needs met.
Exactly. And if I think back to being a kid, so I thought, where the fuck did I learn this? Because I didn't know at first when I was learning about these, go back to your childhood to figure it out. Then if I go back to childhood and think, why the hell did I people please? I can think about being raised in a family where both parents hit. And now it's older generations, so a lot of people my age are going to go, me too, they all did. This isn't rocket science. This isn't brand new shit, Karen. So many parents were taught to hit.
But did the pretty kid or the cute kid get hit less?
Exactly.
Did the sweet, kind, gentle, high-pitched kid get hit less?
Yes.
So when we fawn, it's a protective mechanism.
Exactly. So if I go back and think about both my mom and dad hitting, and I've got 5 brothers and 3 sisters, and my brothers fought, so there's going to be fist fights. I watched those fist fights, and I watched how my mom and dad responded to those fist fights, and I went, holy shit. I won't stand a chance if I fight. And I watched some of my brothers and sisters leave and flight. I watched them literally run, and I watched my dad chase them. I watched my dad catch them and hit them. So I looked at that and went, holy fuck, I can't outrun a 6'1" man. So I can't fight, I can't flight. So what can I do?
Well, if I freeze and they've already got their arm up,
I get hit.
freeze ain't going to help me.
Exactly.
So how can I then physically react in a way that makes me look a particular way, that makes them want to soften because I am also soft?
Exactly. So I went straight into fawn. And when I realized that, I'll say I had a good cry, because that is exactly that's the truth. I had a good cry for the child.
And why did you cry?
Oh, this was a while ago. Geez, I don't remember.
Because some people will cry. There's no wrong answer, okay?
I think I cried.
Some people will cry because you had to. Because you
Yeah.
had to do one of those things and because it was just a really unhealthy environment. Some people will cry out of gratitude for that little kid who knew how to take care of themselves.
Oh my God. No, I did not cry for that reason. So thank you for saying that. I might have that cry today.
Yeah, because if we're standing here as recovering people pleasers or sitting here as recovering people pleasers, and all we're doing is trying to not be that kid, okay? Because we're trying to be adults now, then we might skip over the entire gratitude part of how she actually survived to get us here.
Right.
She did that for us.
I can feel that cry coming.
It's a good cry.
It is. Thank you for saying it. And
and-
thank you for saying it for me.
And she deserves the gratitude.
Yeah. Thank you for that. This is typically when I go out and buy flowers and put flowers in our house. That is something that I have chosen to do for me when I'm trying to say I'm doing my work. And this is me doing my work, going and buying myself flowers, sitting down and doing my cry, and thanking that inner child for being brave enough and strong enough and smart enough to figure that out when I didn't think she was that smart. So,
Your reptilian brain is brilliant.
yeah, yeah. And you know, I can look at my siblings and think
Theirs was just as brilliant.
yes, because I can think of a brother who's running, his reptilian brain is saying run.
My muscles might be littler than his.
Yes.
Flight makes sense.
Yeah.
And I ain't that pretty. Or I'm a boy, so I'm not allowed to be considered pretty or cute or soft.
Exactly.
It's so smart.
And I think about my brother in particular a couple of times when I remember him running from my dad. He was faster than my father because he was smaller and more limber, and he got away. So it worked.
And I mean, some people would look at your dad and go, okay, he's fast if he's running straight, but not if he's running side to side.
Exactly.
And I'm good with lateral movements.
Oh, and I remember my brother going out a bedroom window and onto the roof, and my dad was not following onto a roof.
There you go.
My brother ran down the roof, shimmied down the side of the house, and took the fuck off. And my dad wasn't limber enough to do all of these things. Plus, he still had younger kids because there were 9 of us in the house he was responsible for. So my brother was smart enough to figure out if I run from this building, he can't chase me. I just have to get out of it.
There you go.
Oh my God, Kelly, this is such a good conversation. Thank you. So then I can recognize, okay, so does this fawning follow me into adulthood where it's no longer appropriate to fawn? And the adult in me goes, yeah, I'm not interested in fawning anymore. I'm interested in learning other skills, and I want to bring more to my repertoire. I may still fawn if I see that it's appropriate, but I want to be able to assess the situation and the risk level. Is it perceived fear or real fear, which we're going to get into after? But I want to be able to bring more other than fawning to my repertoire of things my reptilian brain can do. And can I just give my reptilian brain a split second to hit pause so that I can assess it and pick one?
Well, now you're talking about employing other aspects of the brain.
Yeah.
So you're going, thank you, good to know. And I would like another executive team to come in and make a decision, right? We're going to hit 2 different areas of the brain in addition to the reptilian.
I am in love with you right now.
Thanks.
This is a moment when I absolutely beautifully love who you are
Thank you.
because of how much work you do to learn, to know, to sit here, to have these conversations. Thank you.
You too.
So, okay, let's go. Like, I know that I went straight into fawning.
Okay, let's do freezing.
Okay, we're going to go that way.
Yeah, we'll go backwards.
All right. So let's talk about freezing. So freezing means that we literally don't know what else to do. We just freeze. We don't take action. Now, when we fawn, we're taking an action. We're people pleasing. When we're doing flight, we're taking an action.
Okay, I want to just be clear that fawning isn't always people pleasing. Okay, so it's not doing something for another. It's not necessarily meeting another person's needs. Fawning can include like being sweet, being cute, being helpless.
Okay.
Okay, so it's this softening piece, if that makes sense.
Right.
Where we are appealing to
Yes.
them in some kind of sensory experience.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And I want to point out that it's an action.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
But when you just label it people pleasing, that's not
Okay,
the
good
whole
enough.
thing.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm trying to point out, thank you for doing what you're doing. And I also want to point out to them that the other three are actions and that freezing is still a choice. My gosh, I'm kind of walking myself out of this.
Yeah,
It still is. Yeah, okay.
not when it's an autonomic response.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the reptilian brain is making that choice. You are
Right.
not frontal cortex making that choice. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
But freezing in and of itself is an action.
Yes,
that
that's
your
why I'm
body-
saying I'm walking myself out of this conversation. Right. It is
an
It is
action.
an action. Good enough.
The body is in a mode,
Yep.
right, for a certain period of time before it chooses to do something else.
Yes. Good enough.
And freezing can de-escalate a situation. It can keep things from getting worse.
Right.
I'm not sure where else you want to take freezing.
No, I think what you've done with it is good, actually, because it might be really good for people to hear that all four aspects are choices, or pardon me, are not choices, but responses, and that all four are types of actions, actually.
And types of survival.
Exactly.
So-
And that we can be grateful for all four because they're constantly saying that your brain is saying, I'm trying to keep you alive.
Absolutely. If I see that tiger that we referred to in that first episode, and there's a tree, I'm standing by a tree, I might just be like, I'm going to stay right here. I'm going to hope it doesn't see me. Fighting, stupid. Flighting, nope, they'll definitely see me, right? I'm fawn. What's a tiger going to find me sweet? Probably not. I'm going to freeze right here.
Right.
And hope to God this fucking passes.
Right. Right. Oh, I really, really appreciate the examples that you're giving because somebody might be sitting here listening and going, okay, but in another example with that coming at you, that's not the best option.
Well, and the thing is that it doesn't always, we can't always affirm what was the right or best action. It's what your body did. So let's talk about sexual assault, okay? If you're being sexually assaulted and your brain is processing this at a split second, okay, about your environment, about the size of the person, about the number of people in the room, about where your exits are, freezing may be the very thing that lets you survive the situation.
Okay, I'm going to say something here. I cannot thank you enough right now for bringing up that as an example so that people can really relate to understanding that it is the reptilian part of the brain that responds when a judge or a lawyer wants to question you and say, why didn't you fight? Why didn't you do this? If it really was an assault, you would have done this.
That's just not true.
And we need to have a system that stops asking the victims of assault, he, she, or they, why they responded the way they responded and shaming them for saying you didn't respond in the right way if you were actually assaulted. And it blows my mind that we even have to have this goddamn conversation.
Yep. And I mean, how many of us, reflect back on a situation of assault and think, why didn't I fight?
Yeah.
Right? We are conditioned to believe that that's what we should have done or that we would have done if we truly didn't want it. But your body has a different level of intelligence.
Okay, I agree.
If I thought I could survive fighting in order to flight, you bet your fucking ass I would have done it.
Right.
And I would bet on every single person here that you would too, if that was an option to you, if your brain assessed it as an option to you.
And you got to remember your brain is assessing it on this survival mode first.
Absolutely.
Not in the executive functioning area of I'm looking at everything and I'm making all these assessments. No, 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 no. Your reptilian brain is going, no, 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 we're doing it.
Yes. And let's also remember too that there are many different kinds of assault. Some that last for hours, some that last for less than a second when you're grabbed.
Yes.
Right? And it's over. And you're frozen, like trying to process that it happened.
Yeah.
It was 1 second, and you're still processing that it happened 50 seconds ago. Mm-hmm. Right? Like your body is just responding the way it knows how.
Yeah. And then if you have somebody that comes along and says, hey, that guy grabbed your ass, why didn't you hit him? No, 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 no. That's not the right question, is what we're saying. You're not supposed to be asking the person who's in that reptilian brain responding to say, why didn't you respond the way I think you should have?
Because I'm thinking about it and have a meta privilege.
Yes. It's to be able to go, oh my God, they're just simply in their survival mode and they did what they needed to do. What do you need now?
Yeah, and I want people also to remember, like when we're assessing these 4 responses, we're not just talking about, what is the physical environment that you're in, how strong are you physically, how much can you lift, or how fast can you run. We're also talking about emotional capacity. We're also talking about not just, I don't want to say intellectual capacity, but the ability to synthesize information quickly is also some people can do it extremely quick and some people cannot. It's not that they can't synthesize information, it's that they need a longer period of time.
Yes. And that's going to be based on their personal brain
and experience and all of that. And so capacity is a number of different things. It's not just muscle and speed and my door is right there. This is a quick exit.
Kelly, I wanted to point something out too, going back to what you had said earlier in this regard. I remember periods of time in history being told things like in movies, or I can't even remember where I was told all of this, but we were told things like fight for your life if you're being assaulted. Then we were told freeze. Then we were told don't fight, totally give in. You just want to survive. You just let them do anything that they want. So long as you come out that you're alive, no matter how beaten or no matter what you've been through, you just want to come out alive. Alive is the goal. Let them do anything they want to you. So they were dictating to us which of the survival things we were supposed to say, that's what I'm going to do if this happens to me. Not considering that we aren't all going to be wired to be able to do what you're telling me I'm supposed to do.
You're also assuming what people value at that point.
Oh,
right. And that's a
point.
much bigger conversation that's way outside of the reptilian brain for sure. And as you know, I just did knife defense training. Like, how do you be in a knife fight if that is sprung upon you essentially? And also, if you're a bystander who witnesses this, how do you get into it safely if you so choose?
Right.
And someone who chooses to engage in it might not value their own life. And I don't mean that they don't actually value themselves. I mean, they might be like, fuck it, I'm going to save this person because I value the act of helping or the act of saving. If I get hurt, on the way, oh well. And that's okay. That's maybe a very noble thing versus someone who goes, I have a wife and kid at home, or I have small children at home who are depending on me. Like, I can't fucking get in this fight and get fucked up.
I'm a doctor. I can't get fucked up.
Whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you're also, when you're telling someone how they should respond, you're also telling them what to value.
Right. Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's go to... Oh, well, we kind of did all of them, didn't we?
Well, no, we can still go into it. Like, let's talk about flight.
Okay. So flight is where your reptilian brain says, I got to get out of here. You're looking to flee. So, Kelly, my understanding of flee is that the reptilian brain says, I got to get out of here. And your brain goes into, where's my exit? And I'm heading that way. And nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah, and distance, when we're talking about fleeing for various situations, your distance to your perceived safety is going to be different, right? So I may want to flee my manager's office, and that means getting to my own office and closing the door. That might mean I'm leaving, I'm going home for the day,
Right.
right? Versus
That's really good.
fleeing an environment and never going back to that environment.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh, that just really hit me. Where I've been in work environments where I literally walked out and then walked back to give them I'm done working here. I was just thinking of a particular company where I didn't feel safe at all in the way they treated me 3 days into the job. And I literally walked in and went, I'm out. 3 days, I'm not doing this. And it wasn't just to go to my desk or go to my office. It was no, your whole work environment, your whole company is toxic, unsafe, can't be here, period.
Okay, so now we're actually getting into not the autonomic responses, but the
Yeah.
I'm assessing what is actually going to be the best choice.
Yes.
And it needs to be fleeing at a particular distance.
Yes, but I'm also going back to the very day that one particular thing happened and I literally didn't stay in the office. I left the building.
Right. And so that may be where you're in a conversation and you're like, I'm
Yeah.
physically taking myself out and not coming back.
Yeah.
Right. And all of a sudden you're sitting in your car and you're like, holy shit, I just left. Right. And you're kind of processing it as it's happening, or
Yeah.
once it's happened, you're like, oh, I just fled.
Yeah, and I think of how much people who have this feeling, the reptilian brain say, get out, get out, get out, you're in danger, but they don't get out. And I'm thinking of like the domestic abuse situations where they really suppress the system, the reptilian brain, and are in a constant state of fighting it. Yeah. Okay. All right. And the last one we have is fight. And that's where we really access anger and take action in the sense of using our anger to strike back at. And I won't say necessarily that you have to strike back at to what's creating the fear. Sometimes people will strike back at anything in a response.
And striking can be both physical and verbal.
Yes.
And also stubbornness.
Oh, that's a really good example of it too. Yeah, that's excellent.
So I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to verbally fight with you. I'm not going to hit you, but I'm going to be stubborn and fight for my place here.
Right. I'm going to brick wall or whatever, right? I really appreciate your last example of that for people who think, oh, that's not me. I don't hit her. That's not me, or that's not us. We don't do anything physical. We're not in fight mode, but you know damn well you're in fight mode because there's a brick wall up. That's great. Thank you for that.
Cool. So is that today?
That's it for today.
Okay, wonderful. Oh my God, what is day 3?